Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we have so much awesome stuff to get through, so no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we begin with The Mandalorian Season 3, and so far we've had confirmation of various directors who are returning, but now in an exclusive by Lucasfilm, a passing comment confirms that Taika Waititi is returning to direct, but not just one episode, multiple episodes. He directed in Season 1 and voiced IG-11, who is also rumoured to be rebuilt for the third season to act as a bodysuit for Grogu. And I think another reason that we're getting Taika back for Season 3 and for multiple episodes is for him to test the waters before his own Star Wars movie. We get a much better idea of his directing style and what he's going to bring to the third season of the story. He's extremely talented, and I think his work in Season 1 is already considered iconic. Awesome to have him back, I'm so excited. And so now guys, let's talk about Boba Fett and Temuera Morrison. He's an absolute gem, and following the Book of Boba Fett, a lot of us are wondering, when are we next gonna see him? Morrison cameoed as a homeless 501st clone trooper in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But now the big question is, what is the next Star Wars project he's going to feature in? Earlier in the month, it was heavily implied in an interview with ET Online that he's going to feature again as Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 3, and at Star Wars Celebration, he hinted multiple times that he might appear as Captain Rex in the Ahsoka show. But now, in a new interview with Gaming Bible, he opened up about returning in future Star Wars video games. Let's see what he said and how it also connects to the Disney Plus shows. Temuera Morrison is easily one of the most charismatic and engaging personalities to ever have graced the Star Wars universe. The actor who features in the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian made his first appearance in the franchise as Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones 20 years ago. He did of course also play millions of clone troopers who borrow their likeness and voices from the instantly recognisable New Zealand actor. His work has extended into the animated shows as well as video games, including providing his vocal talents to the hugely popular Republic Commando, which released all the way back in 2005. As I said, Gaming Bible recently had the chance to speak to Morrison after Star Wars Celebration, where he chatted about his experience on the shows and his work in various video games. This is what he said. I do a few voices for those video games, very hard work, harder than acting. You try and get some emotion into a voiceover. All the instructions as well, you know. Turn left, go right, you missed, try again. Now having millions of clone troopers all voiced by one person could easily become tedious very quickly, but thanks to Tem's infectious energy and love for Star Wars, he said he would happily do it again. In fact, he was asked specifically about Republic Commando 2, and even the possibility of a Boba Fett game, and he said the following: Oh yes, definitely. The gaming is where it's all at too, because with a movie or a TV show, it's all over, but with a game, you can be there a bit longer. And he finishes by saying, there will be some coming, I can tell you that. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me that sounds like confirmation that Morrison is working on something Star Wars related in the gaming space. Is it a new standalone game? Could it be a Boba Fett game in the style of Star Wars Bounty Hunter? Or the long-awaited Republic Commando 2? Simply put, we don't really know right now, but another massive possibility is Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Fallen Order. And while by that point in the timeline most clones were no longer around, there could be one or two appearances. It's just amazing to hear him so keen about it. Now, as we know, Tem is very familiar with Star Wars gaming. He not only did Bounty Hunter, but he also did Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Republic Commando, Revenge of the Sith, Empire at War, and the LEGO Star Wars 2005 game. His return is going to be awesome, but outside of gaming, we all want to know if we're going to see more Boba Fett and clone appearances. Well, Temuera Morrison told ET Online that he does hope for a Boba Fett Season 2, but he adds the caveat that this time round, he wants the more badass, old school Boba Fett. He said, we've got to bring him back somewhere, we've got to see old Boba Fett, we reintroduced him, we found out some stuff, but I think it's time to get him back to his badass ways. No two ways around that, the actor says, hopeful that Fett could return in some fashion. So I think we sort of have that scope to go back there, but that's out of my control, I'll just see what happens. Now I reckon that since Mando got to steal the show for 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, it's only fair that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni attribute 2 episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3 to Boba and Fennec Shand. What are they up to after the Book of Boba Fett on Tatooine? Or since they're all allies, in some way Boba's story could overlap with Mando again, and they go on a mission or something like that. Or perhaps even Din is going to ask Boba to help him out on Mandalore. Given Boba's lineage, that would be so poetic. And so next up guys, just some really interesting behind the scenes pictures for the Kenobi series. Following the release of part 6, some new behind the scenes photos have emerged, mainly of the Order 66 flashbacks from parts 1 and 5. Just to Christensen's right, we see Ming Kui, the actress who plays Jedi Master Min Asvelti. She was the one who tried to protect Reva and the other younglings during the Order 66 attack. Awesome stuff. So now my dear friends, we're going to cover a report that's on the more unreliable side of things. This comes from Giant Frickin' Robot, who admittedly have been pretty hit and miss in the past. Their credibility overall is not that great, so take this with a heap load of salt. But still, this kind of thing is good for speculation and generates a lot of conversation amongst fans. So you can comment your thoughts down below and we can have a sort of conversation about it. So they say the following: Star Wars is currently making some of the best content it has in years. Although some might be tired of all the stories linking to the Skywalker saga, fans can't seem to get enough of older continuity being revisited in new and fresh ways. From The Mandalorian to Obi-Wan Kenobi, there have been some wonderful legacy characters returning in some of the best ways. It truly adds more dimension to the characters in a way that's not been shown before, and here is where they get to the meat and potatoes of it. They say, with that, we are happy to report through our trusted and proven sources, but they don't really say which ones, that Natalie Portman will return as Padme in Star Wars. Although it might seem a bit odd that Natalie Portman would return to Star Wars, it makes complete sense for a character to return, especially considering that we just got to see Anakin Skywalker return in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Although we were given the prequels to learn about Padme's journey, there were significant gaps that had never been explored. That is the same thing that the previously mentioned series just tackled. How she returns can be left to debate, but we have a strong hunch that she might be returning in some sort of flashback type scenario. Now, the person who wrote this article has clearly never read the E.K. Johnstone trilogy. There is a lot of Padme's life not on screen that is explored in the novels, but I will say if we do get a Padme series, a massive if, taking it with a grain of salt, I suppose it would have to be in flashbacks, unless they do a prequel to the prequels looking at Padme's upbringing on Naboo. And this might just be a coincidence, but with Millie Bobby Brown rumoured to be coming to Star Wars, maybe she's going to play a young Padme in that show, and bear in mind, the two look very similar. But Giant Frickin' Robot are saying it is going to be Natalie Portman. They go on to say that project details are being kept under wraps for now, but they do mention that Disney think there are plenty of ways in which she could return, including flashback sequences in Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2. And you know guys, in my video the other day I spoke about all of the missed opportunities in Kenobi Season 1. I think we should have seen Padme in some sort of flashback to see Anakin's psyche, but also it was rumoured that Obi-Wan would name drop her in his final duel with Vader, but that never came to be. Now, Giant Frickin' Robot are saying Natalie Portman is coming back to Star Wars, but in so many interviews, including more recent ones, she has stated she has no intention on returning. And that's not just her playing coy for the press, it's simply the matter of fact that she's moved on from it. She did even state it was a different part of her life. She's proud of her performance in the prequels, but now she's moved on. So let's wait and see. I find rumours like this really interesting, because even though they're not reliable, they do get us talking, and conversation is everything in this fandom. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below guys. Would you like to see Padme again in flashback form or earlier in her life? And so now my dear friends, coincidentally, we've got a new interview with Natalie Portman where she talks about her experience in Star Wars and how in recent times the reception has changed dramatically. And my question is, could this interview with Cinema Blend be a sign? She is much softer on Star Wars. Let's see what she had to say. So Cinema Blend writes, sometimes a movie that is not up to par at the time can generate a following as it ages, resulting in it being considered a classic. After all, we've seen countless examples of this, but no case study is more famous than George Lucas's Star Wars prequels. They were truly dragged through the mud. And I've spoken about this many times in the past, but now Natalie Portman herself has shared how she too was quote critically slaughtered by the reception to episodes 1 to 3, but she does say how she appreciates how now those films are considered classics. This is what she said. I mean, I had it with The Professional too. It was slaughtered critically, and now despite having been in Marvel and Star Wars movies, it's the main thing people come up to me about. That and Star Wars are two examples of things that when they came out, I was like, oh my god, this is a disaster. And then 20 years later, actually 30 years later for The Professional, it's beloved. And you know what? Natalie got a lot of unwarranted criticism at a young age. The Professional was her feature debut. She was only 12 at the time and played a girl who learned how to kill from an assassin in order to avenge the murder of her family. And then when she was 16, of course, she was cast as young Queen Amidala of Naboo, but she was heavily criticised in The Phantom Menace. A lot of the characters were for the dialogue dialogue, the CGI, and the writing. And it is well documented, it was really hard for her to deal with the backlash, but it's so great to see that she finally realizes there are so many of us out there who love her. So many of us who grew up on the prequels and who see her as an icon to this franchise. I would love if she returned, but I'm not too sure it's gonna happen. And so, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of today's Star Wars news update. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, while also supporting the channel, then click the link down there in the description. That will take you over to my Patreon. And also in the description, if you're interested, you'll find the link to my merch store. But until the next one, my dear friends, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.